Hans Worm Hat. This is going to be a really important video. I think I'll probably make this my new video on my channel just because it's so important. I've been wanting to talk about pulled goats, so this is a great opportunity to talk about that. And this is also going to be really clarifying. I keep saying they're not trannies. They're not trannies. I want to finally do a video where I try to express, I've been doing this thing for like a year now almost. What do I think is going on here? So that's why I think this is a super important video, because I'm going to disclose exactly what I think is going on here right now. It's just a theory. But I'm going to elaborate here what I mean when I say they aren't trannies. And it also connects to this pulled genetics thing. So I don't know if you know, and they're obsessed with goats, right? Well, what do you know? This just so happens, thank you to a commenter who brought up pulled goats. This isn't something that they ever talk about or that people hear about often. So, right, goats, they can have horns, but then also some goats don't have horns. And it turns out that the genetics that are connected to the horns also are connected to intersex. So here, this is the important part. Breeding pulled to pulled may increase chance of intersex kids. So, and don't you think it's interesting that young humans, they call them kids, the same thing as young goats. Look at all the connections here. When somebody told me about pulled goats, there were so many connections. You just have to go research it yourself, but there's no information on it. And that's how these creatures operate. They erase all the information about human anatomy and they replace it with lies. They tell us ridiculous things like women can have Adam's apples. Get out of here. That's bullshit. And also, like, shouldn't this be a well-known thing and something that there's tons of research on? You go try to find it, and there's no good information on pulled goats. And the thing is that, yeah, a lot of the pulled goats, they're very gender ambiguous. So, yeah, I don't know enough about this subject yet. So I don't want to talk about it, especially because it's hard to find stuff on it, and it's something that I still need to research. But it's something that I just want to bring up. It's very interesting that it's goats. It's very interesting that we call children kids. Yeah, and then there's this pulled genetics thing, and it's linked to intersex. And just intersex is, I think, key to this thing. I don't think that they're trannies. I think that they literally are both sexes. So I'll just get into it. This is just another paint thing. We live among creatures. We live. That's a great, I mean, it's a documentary, that movie. It's been admitted that it's a documentary. This is what it is. This is what it's talking about. It's talking about these creatures telling us to obey, telling us, and they control everything. And how do you spot them? Well, so they overplayed their hand with this tranny thing. They're trying to make regular humans take on that mark of the beast, take on uh, it's part of the gay thing. It's all connected, and it all goes back to this tranny thing. And so here, ever wondered why so much genetic testing on newborns? What if they were looking for something? What do you think that they're looking for? What if there's always been more to this male-female thing, but it was kept secret? So hopefully this clears it up for some of you that think that Angelina Jolie, I don't know, in the cases of A-listers, I think they might be true hermaphrodites. Angelina, I would not be surprised if it had a penis and a vagina. Who knows what has going on? But like your everyday creatures, the ones that you see outside, because yes, they're everywhere. In my opinion, they make up the bulk of the population. Being a real human is, I think, really, really rare. And we live in a creature world. So here's the different races of humanoids. There's the real men, there's the real women, just like God made us. And I truly believe now, yeah, we're not of this world. We have that connection to God in us. And I don't know about these creatures. I mean, these creatures are just different. They're just made different than a regular human. And I don't know what's wrong with them because they all seem to be psychotic and megalomaniacs, and they're all deceivers, so they're clearly different than us, and we can see it. God gave us the eyes to see. And here's how you can see them. It's these two explanations over here. And then I just have question marks because it's shrouded in secrecy. We don't really know what's going on because they don't tell us anything. So there could be even more classes of creatures. But hopefully, this clarifies transvestigation for a lot of people, at least my perspective, my personal perspective, what I personally think is going on this day, today. We're always evolving, we're always finding out new things. However, this box on the right here, I'm just always going to point people to this. If they are coming at me trying to from the perspective that this is like full grown men chopping their, that's ridiculous. That's not what's going on here at all. This is what's going on here. We have creatures that they have a male skeletal structure, but they have the genitalia of a female. Porn stars are creatures. You will not find a biological female as a porn star. There's going to be nothing but creatures. Go look at their private parts if you want to. They don't look like hack jobs because they aren't. They come out of the womb like that, born that way. Lady Gaga was born that way. They're all born that way. I believe that it begins with feminization surgery and hormone surgery or and hormone therapy later in life to give them a hormone-induced puberty. Birth control is really convenient hormone therapy. I have personal experience with this. I don't want to get too much into it, but yes, I do believe that because I said that my family's a part of it. I believe that both my siblings did have surgery, plastic surgery. I know for a fact. Um, which disturbs me, but this is what these creatures do. I don't know. I don't think that they're human because I would never do that. Plastic surgery has always grossed me out. Okay. Also, I know that, so the very first person I ever dated, I think, well, now I know it's a creature because I can see what they look like on Facebook, creature book. And I remember she like told me story. Oh, I can't go on birth control because I have some sort of blood clot disorder. Like I don't. They have weird stories for everything. She said that his and the mom was such a typical. It was like, do you know the super loud, obnoxious type that are way over the top? That's what these people are. They're actors. They're not regular. Anyways, I think that birth control is just a convenient way to give all these creatures hormone therapy. Okay, and then the FTM, what we call FTM, they're not trannies. They're not trannies. They're creatures. They came out of the womb with a penis, but they have a female skeletal structure. They may even have an internal, they may have a vagina. I don't know. They may have a uterus. I think they do have a uterus because here's just another opinion that I have through looking at Facebook images and things like that. Have you ever heard of sympathy weight? Yeah, it's bullshit. When a creature and a creature get together and want to start a family, I truly believe that the male is the one that's carrying the child. They have the childbearing hips. They'll always have little stories where the man disappears for a while. The man gets super, super chunky. I've had people make comments. The Kardashians are terrible, but I think somebody said when one of the Kardashians was pregnant, it was actually the man that got super fat. Yeah, it's because that was the one that actually had the child. It's disgusting too because then the women make up all these stories about having, like, it seriously disgusts me. I go on my Facebook and I see these creatures with their pregnancy stories and I know it's a lie because I look at the wife and it's a tranny creature. They're not giving birth, it's the husband. It's bizarre, but it's the reality we live in. All right, so I'll just finish up here. So there's also creatures with a female skeletal structure, but the genitalia of a man. And micro penises, I think that's these creatures. The genitalia may never develop properly. I know way too many. There's way too many micros. Real men are generally more well endowed. A lot of these creatures have fertility issues or have erectile issues. Why do you think Viagra is so popular? And I truly believe that a lot of the female to male creatures, I believe that they take growth hormones to get as tall as they get. That's why a lot of them get wacky alien features. They look like aliens. Real men have correct proportions. The female to male creatures that are really tall, you look at them and they just don't look right. It's because they aren't right. It's because it's not natural. These creatures are psychotic and they have no problem giving their children growth hormones. That's totally normal to them. All right, I think that's mostly it. Leave a comment, let me know what you think.